This is a 9-track tape drive, a Qualstar 1260. This is a Windows 98 machine. It has a special Pertec card to drive the tape drive. It will eventually be replaced with this Arduino board. The first step is to mount a magnetic tape. These are IBM half-inch tapes. Load the tape. The tape is now at the beginning. There's an optical marker. We're running an overland program. We're loading a setup file which contains information regarding the block size of the records that will be written to on the tape. We'll test the adapter. This checks the onboard RAM. It's a 64K board. And then we'll test the tape drive. This will actually begin writing test data. And then reading it back to check if there are any errors. Okay, 502 blocks were written to tape. Tape is now rewinding. Now the tape is being read to see if there are any errors. 502 blocks were read. 0 had to be corrected. Tape is now rewinding. Back to the beginning. There were no errors. Now let's look at the tape. I'm going to call the tape browser. This was the test data that was written. These are the addresses of the blocks and the actual data. You can see the test was the ASCII characters. There's two formats here, ASCII and IBM EBCDIC. So that's the first block. We can manually move by one mark or to the next block. So we can go to the next block. Forward one mark. Looks like this was one giant block that was written with a single file mark, which then coincides with the end of file for the whole tape, or the end of the records. So there's two tape marks. You can go forward one more mark, which takes you there. And this is stuff I had written before, which are basically radio stations. KOWZ 1170 kilohertz, the latitude and longitude, and the powers when it was licensed, and the powers day and night, I guess 2500 watts, whatever. So these were records that I had on this tape before. So we can actually browse this. So if we go to the next block, first let's look down right at the bottom. Okay, so that's one record, 1170 kilohertz. Okay, that's in Minnesota, Waseca, Minnesota. Now we'll go next block. Okay, next, Watertown, KWOM, 1600 kilohertz, 1340, 1590, 1580. So these are records on the tape. Now we go to the next mark. So this was file 4, block 8. was coded in EBCDIC. That's how I set up the setup file for this tape when I loaded it at the beginning. So it looks like this is going to go right to the very end. I think there were several thousand records. These were all the AM radio stations in the US and Canada. Yeah, I think this is going to go right to the end of the tape because the file marks were put at the end of the file, I believe. We'll just let it go a little bit longer and see. Okay, so this is the next file, file number 5. This is some kind of a test that I had put here. Forward another mark. There's 2 tape marks there. Okay, and that's really the end of the tape. Okay, so let's rewind it. Okay, now it's back at the beginning and it's reading the first record, which is file 0, block 0, 6400 bytes. These were the test data that were written by the test program. Okay, so let me just go now to the next block. Block 1, still file 0. Block 2, 3101 bytes, file 0. Block 3, block 4, block 5, block 6, block 7. These are like the records. Block 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that's probably the end of the file, 0. Or it's just reading more because there wasn't enough in the RAM, that's why. So we're still at file 0, block 33, 34, 35, 36. Okay, well, we're going to go to the next file. So these are the records in file 0, which were the test records. What I really want to do is set up a serial port on the Arduino board so that when data comes in into its memory and it reaches a predefined buffer size, which will be my block size, that then it will send that data to the Qualstar tape drive and save that data. Because it is a streaming unit, it's not a block writer. So to pseudo block write it, I would have a fixed block size and then write those bytes. So that is a way to control this tape drive. There's 34 lines that need to be connected, and this Arduino Mega 2560 has 54 lines, so it's absolutely perfect as a tape drive controller. Okay, so tape mark 2, tape mark 3. So we had 0. These are the tape marks. Okay, so let's continue. Next block. Okay, tape mark 4, and then we're at file 4, block 0. So that's the radio station record, as we said. Okay, that was the tape mark. Now we're at file 4. Okay, block 1, block 2, block 3. So each one of these is a radio station record with latitude, longitude, and power. They're short records. That's how I wrote them. 221 bytes. 215, 224, 219. They're approximately the same size. The buffer has to be read in. So again, this is still file 4, and you've got all that. So that's how you read a tape and look for tape marks and records. Okay, I'm going to rewind it now to the beginning. So this is the tape browser. And then we're reading the first record again. So we're just going to get out of here. Okay, so from these things here, so this is outright, that's what OR means, okay? So we have some tools here. We have the tape browser. We can erase the whole tape. We can copy the tape. We can scan the tape. We can import a file, and we can export a file. So for example, to write a tape, you would select your source files from a directory on the computer. Your selection rules would be what you're going to copy and the dates of the file. You're going to choose the text record format. IBM variable, that's what I had. That's why some of those radio station records had different sizes. I used an IBM variable block length or record length, text, which is ASCII basically, not binary, and control line feeds determine when the record is finished. And then we have 8192 characters per block. And the records are 132 characters and 80 lines for carriage return line feed. That's the length. It's been a while since I've looked at this. Labels, the volume label of the tape, the date stamps, the file name, and what you want to do with the tape position when you start. Do you want to append the data? So that would mean it would advance the tape to the last file mark or the end of file mark, erase it, and then append the data and then add new end of file marks. Or it would rewind the tape and overwrite it for backup purposes. So there's various things that you can do. And then you have options, ASCII to EBCDEC conversions,